Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. I wanted to just kind of shoot the breeze a little bit with you because I've been thinking about the watch collecting world, some of the comments I've seen, and some comments maybe directed at me and the whole YouTube environment of people who talk about watches. And I thought, all right, I'm into Casio watches, and I feel a little bit like Rodney Dangerfield sometimes, I don't get no respect, but I guess it doesn't bother me that much. I'm making a video about it, so I don't know. I think I need to just give you the basics of what is it I'm looking for in a watch, okay? And so for me, the top priorities would be accuracy, affordability, and durability. And so I find those, I get a pretty good value, and I get those from a lot of Casio watches. I don't really think of the fashion sense of it all that much, I have certain watches that are nicer looking watches, and I may save those for special occasions, but generally maybe not, I don't really... I don't feel like I draw a lot of attention to my watches as I wear them, so therefore it doesn't matter that much what I'm wearing. It doesn't matter to other people what I'm wearing. So I don't try to impress people with my watches. So some people would like to compare watches to different kinds of cars, so that you have a pretty good analogy for, this kind of watch is more like a luxury car, like a Mercedes or a BMW, and this one is more like a Ferrari, and this one is more, that sort of thing. So what about all these Casio watches that I'm into? What is the automotive equivalent to a Casio watch? And I guess I've decided that it's probably a Toyota Corolla, okay? And I've had a couple of Toyota Corollas. I drove one of them for 19 and a half years. 400,000 miles, and by the end there, it had a rusty hole in the door, and I wore it out. But I like that car, and I think if someone had said, we've got another one exactly like it that we've had in storage for 20 years, would you like to just have that? It's like new. I probably would have said, yeah, I'll drive that for another 20 years, sure. But I know that people don't respect the Toyota Corolla, even though it has a lot of great things about it. I mean, it's durable, it's relatively low maintenance, reasonable cost of that kind of maintenance, and it just does what it does without being too flashy. And you may find that hundreds of thousands of miles later, you've worn it out, but in the meantime, it was just a reliable vehicle. So in a lot of ways, I think my Casio watches are that same thing. If I showed up at my 20-year high school reunion driving my Toyota Corolla, nobody would be impressed by that. But I wouldn't expect them to be impressed by that. What am I going to apologize for it? I'm sorry. This was the only thing they had at the car rental place. Yeah, right. Like the car rental place is renting 10-year-old cars. No, so it doesn't bother me, except I'm just kind of confused when I see what I could only describe as watch snobs saying things like, you should have one G-Shock in your collection, that's it, and then you should buy real watches. I'm thinking, it is a real watch. The thing about Casio watches that has impressed me over the years is that they're relatively accurate. And then when they start building in features like multi-band 6, wave scepter technology, Bluetooth technology to keep them accurate, that really appeals to me. And some people might think that's silly. Why do you need a watch that's accurate right down to the second? Who needs that kind of accuracy? And I think if you don't understand, then obviously you've never worked in live broadcasting as much as I have. Radio, television, things happen. Things have to be coordinated. And, especially you got people out in the field, you're coordinating with national stuff that's coming in over satellite and other connections like that. And, you want to have things coordinated right down to the second. So it is important to have your timepieces, your clocks around the broadcast facility, and if you can have it in your watch as well, something that's accurate right down to the second. That really, really appeals to me. I don't know how to stress that more. It really, really appeals to me when my watch can show me the same time that I get off the atomic clock within 1 second or half a second. I like that. So that's just a big deal to me. And to me, Casio seems to do it better than any other company, consistently, affordably. And so I'm just a big fan of Casio. Number one, for that level of accuracy. Well, people say, well, you can get a high accuracy quartz clock, or there are mechanical watches that are fine-tuned at the factory, and if you have them serviced often enough, they can maintain accuracy to within just a couple seconds a year. It's possible. And I say, well, yeah, but this is cheap. I don't have to do any special tricks. Don't have to send it in for maintenance. It just does the thing for year after year after year. And so I can appreciate the great handmade, expensive technology that goes into making some mechanical watch run that well. But this runs that well, and it's really super inexpensive. So anyway, those are just some things I had in mind. The other thing that I just wanted to express is, and I think this is something that would be helpful to us in general, society in general, just to understand the difference between things that are meant to be consumed and things that are meant to be durable, right? So for some people, you lease a car, and every 3 years you get a new car because nobody wants an old car, and for me, that this is a durable item that I'm in for the long haul, so to speak, on a car. Now maybe I tend to keep everything longer than I should. The other day I discarded an old computer that I realized I hadn't used it in about 8 years. But somehow I didn't want to get rid of it because it still worked as well as it did the day it was brand new 15 years ago. So if you wanted to try to do things with software that was 15 years old, it was fine for that. But it just wasn't usable anymore for anything you want to do. So yeah, maybe it's a lesson for me to learn the difference between that which is durable and that which is consumable. So, I have a hard time justifying like buying an Apple Watch, for example, $300 or $400 for something that is really meant to be used for just a couple of years, and then you upgrade, and then you get a new one, and you get the new software and the new hardware and all that. And I just think, no, to me, a watch should be more durable than that. And so. But on the other hand, maybe something like a G-Shock, because it's affordable, it doesn't have to be quite as durable. You really could take a watch like this and use it whenever without worrying about whether or not it gets consumed. Okay, so just keep that in mind: consumable versus durable. And I think if we get a good idea of what should be consumed and what should be preserved. That's good for us in a very general sense. Finally, it's fun to see some websites out there dedicated to identifying the different watches that are worn in different movies. And I like the movies, so it's kind of fun to know, oh, James Bond wore this watch in that movie and this other watch in that other movie, and it's an ongoing character like that. People want to keep track of the exact model of watch that James Bond wore, and that's fun. I'm not necessarily into any of the watches that James Bond wore. I have the Casio Royale, cheap imitation that looks kind of like a Seiko watch from a James Bond movie. But it seemed like maybe in the 80s and somewhat into the 90s, the Casio watches, especially the G-Shocks, did get a little bit of respect in the movies. Prominent characters in big budget Hollywood movies were wearing G-Shocks. So it's kind of fun to see that. Whereas recently, I saw a movie called Free Guy. And the point of the movie is that the main character in the movie was just a background player in a video game. That was his life. So he was meant to be kind of a nobody, nothing special about him, and it was hard to tell exactly on the screen I was watching, but it looked like the watch he was wearing might have been a Casio, the 800 series watch that I just recently got one. So, in a sense, yeah, that makes sense. It's a cheap, affordable watch. You can get them at Walmart. So just some nondescript guy with a non-fancy watch should be wearing something that you would get at Walmart. But it just showed me the level of respect that Casio doesn't have in big Hollywood stuff anymore. So maybe we'll still see Keanu Reeves or Tom Cruise or Arnold Schwarzenegger or some, wearing various G-Shocks in different movies, but probably not. We'll probably see them wearing much fancier watches, that would have some respect among the multi-$1,000 collector crowd. There was one movie called Defending Your Life from the early 90s that had a prominent scene, and I'll do a full review of that movie and show you some clips. That was maybe the last time that I saw Casio watches getting, direct respect in any kind of a Hollywood production. But since then, I actually recently saw a clip on YouTube, and I don't recommend you look it up. It was from a show called 2.5 Men. I really haven't been into that show. They made mention of a Casio watch as opposed to this fancier watch that another character was wearing, and they actually made some pretty crude jokes about it, which I just thought, all right, it's reached a new low when they feel like they have to disparage Casio watches like this. I don't know. But then again, on YouTube, there are people who talk about luxury watches and expensive watches. And this confuses me when I see people sometimes with accents from the British Isles that the language they use, the obscene words they use with such frequency to disparage other folks in the watch collector world. I don't understand it at all. I don't know why anyone would want to watch their videos because they're so abusive. So yeah, this makes no sense to me. And I'm not, I've been around people who speak crude words a lot, but this is just a new level of contempt that I work on movie crews. The people there have the demeanor that you would expect from the average construction worker, so the foul language flies freely. And yet I know they're not trying to offend me, so and they're friends of mine, and I know they're good people, so, I can muster a level of tolerance for that. But some of these videos I'm seeing on YouTube, people talking about watch collecting with such abusive language that they really do mean to be offensive and abusive when they talk about people who disagree with them on any minor thing. I don't understand that at all. So I will continue to wear my Casios and ride around in my Corollas and just try not to engage in any of the more disagreeable sides of our society. But you're not going to talk me out of my Casios. This one it's just so accurate. It's just so good at what it does. It's what I want in a watch. So that's why I have it. Anyway, I just wanted to clear the air on that because there's a lot of noise out there, and I'll have a more traditional version of my show coming up, more episodes coming up. So please stay tuned. That's all for today. I will have more episodes of the Good Timekeeping Show.